Hello, everybody. My name is Dingo. I'm a hobbyist UK happy hardcore producer from the Bay Area, and I'm here with a tutorial today on how to use one of my patcher creations. Now, this is a custom vocoder setup with patcher that can be or that allows the vocoded layer to be processed independently from the main layer, which can also be processed in this patcher. Now, first things first, let's just go ahead and tell you about the layout of this. So I've set up multiple send environments using other instances of Patcher, and I've set it up in a way that allows the vocoded signal to be sidechained to the main drive or to the main layer. And I've also set it up so that it can be automated the actual gain of the vocoded layer so it can fade in and fade out. Although you don't have to do this. So in order to set this up, what you want to do is you want to go to your channel rack, get a MIDI out plugin, set the port to 0, and go ahead and create a new pattern and place a MIDI out for the vocals to be vocoded to. So what I've done here in my example that I'm going to show you at the end of this video is I've gotten my chord progression as reference. And from there, what you can do is go into the playlist and just layer it up with the main vocals that you're going to have vocoded. And that's pretty much set up, ready to play with in terms of the parameters. So from there, you can begin processing the vocoded signal and the main signal separately. So what you can do is you can right click on the band right here and it'll effectively solo the vocoded signal so you can just hear it. And from there, you can go into the reverb and start processing it because all the parameters in all of these send environments in this patcher environment have been set to default except those that would mess with the send. So in other words, I've set it so that it's wet, early reflection is set to default, but the dry is all the way down so that it doesn't mess with the send. And from there, what you can do is while you're processing it, another trick I use is I right click this and it mutes this band. So I can just hear the reverb that's being processed. So I can change the parameters in real time. And then I'll let it go back on and see if it fits and then make the changes from there. And then same thing goes with the delay. The wet is always 100%, but the dry is 0 for the sake of the send environment. So this patcher will mainly use stock plugins with almost all the parameters being set to default values so you can change it from there to your liking. I would advise you to experiment around with this patcher since you could get pretty interesting processing chains for just the vocoded signal alone, using effects like gates, distortion, tape stop, and flangers or phasers. The possibilities with this patcher are pretty much limited to your creativity and imagination. You can get some really interesting stuff out of this patcher because it's a little bit more flexible since I didn't limit it to just the surface. You have to be familiar with using the map. So there's that floor. But once you get past it, because it isn't really confusing once you look at the intricacies of it, it's not as overwhelming once you've played around with it a little bit. So what I'll also include is just a text reminder showing you how to set it up, but chances are I'll also just include a video link to this video that's being recorded right now so that you can just click on that or copy paste it in the future just to look up and see how to set it up and you'll remember everything. So let's go on to the example. So I'll go ahead and explain it, but I'm going to get rid of this because my example is up here. So what I've done is I've used a third-party reverb and a third-party delay. It's pretty simple. You just tell it to replace the stock delay on the patcher. What I've also done is I included another gain knob between the sidechain knob and the volume automator knob in order to go and make sure that it just sits at just the right level between the main signal and the vocoded signal, so it doesn't overpower the main signal or compete with it in any meaningful way. And I've also, I think I used stock reverb for the vocoded signal. And then I made some changes here in the end. I think I might have automated this knob, I'm not sure. And that's pretty much the long and short of it. So I'll go ahead and play it out without the automation so you could just hear the vocoded layer in all of its glory.
I wanna know you, I wanna show you, and I wanna give you everything you wanted, and I wanna see you, don't wanna leave you, I just wanna give you everything you dreamed of.
So that's the vocoded layer, what you just heard. And then if I were to get rid of that.
I wanna know you, I wanna show you, and I wanna give you everything.
So I'm showing how that works. And then if we were to show the volume automation,
I wanna know you, I
have
wanna
it.
show you, and I wanna give you everything you wanted, and
I have it fade in and out, you see.
don't wanna leave you, I just
Or you
wanna
hear,
give you everything you dreamed of.
So that's an example of the applications that you can make with this vocoder. I find that it's very versatile. I don't use it necessarily all the time, but when I do use it, I tend to use it as more backing feature because I tend to pride myself on the sort of send processing that I do because that's how I get like the really unique sounding reverbs and delays out of it. It really has to do with how I set it up right here, how I gain stage it, and how I EQ it. In my opinion. So that's pretty much the long and short of it. Before I end the video, I'd like to give a shout out to Robin from ImageLine. He is an IL developer, ImageLine developer, who helped me make this patcher. And the reasons behind that is that back in FL Studio 20.7, there was a bug that affected Fruity Send. And so what happened was I wanted to create some sort of patcher. I was kind of stuck on how to like make some sort of like interesting vocoded signal with a bit more controls given or a bit more freedom for me to mess with the vocoded signal. And so he helped me make this in Patcher. But the thing is that he would normally make it in the mixer rack. So it was very kind of him to show me the moves and how to set it up in Patcher with everything. And then I made a few changes from there. I helped make it my own in a way. But I'd like to give a shout out and a big thank you to Robin for helping me with this. You're awesome, Robin. Everybody should respect ImageLine developers. They're awesome. And I'm really happy that they were willing to spend the time with me to make this. So that's pretty much the long and short of it. If you liked it, feel free to leave a comment down below, seeing if I could, suggesting any tutorial ideas that I could try my hand at, and to let me know whether you shared it with a friend, because if you find it useful, I recommend that you share it with a friend. I'm always on the lookout personally for really good patchers. Case in point, Frank Pohl. I really like his patcher work. He's just a patcher god. Mine are like little dwarves because he's just a giant compared to me. But if I can help somebody, I'd be very glad to. And then if you didn't like it, at the very least, I hoped you learned something. If you'd be kind enough to send me some feedback over in the comment section below, I'd also appreciate that. But anyhow, that's pretty much it for this patcher creation. I plan on making a patcher or a video explaining how I send up the send patchers here, because I'm also going to cover how I go about doing that. As you can see, I have some patchers that I'm going to make brief videos about on how to use. So that's it for this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one.